Hello, this is Issues and Answers, and today we're talking about the Youth Economy Agency. I'm Terry Finister, the communications lead for the Youth Economy Agency, and I'm pleased to be joined today by the CEO of the agency, Mr. Brian Vidal. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Good morning and pleasure to be here today.
Brian, let's jump right into it. Talk to me first of all about why it is that, or what were the factors that would drive the creation of the Youth Economy Agency?
So, thank you for that question, Terry. So, I mean, it's exciting times for St. Lucia, and not just St. Lucia, for the rest of the OACS. So, why the youth economy? I believe in giving respect where it is due. And I would first like to highlight the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre, in terms of why the youth economy. Prior to our current Prime Minister becoming Prime Minister of St. Lucia, he would have extensive discussion throughout the length of breadth of St. Lucia with the various stakeholders, including the youth, their parents, other stakeholders such as teachers, etc. Right. And then, he would have realized there is a need to have a targeted approach to really address the concerns of the young persons. So again, if you were to watch in terms of some of the challenges that young persons experience, we will realize that, gone are the days when we could just, turn a blind eye. Unfortunately, a lot of the times now we hear the young persons, our youth, are making the headlines for a lot of negative reasons. But there are positives that are happening, but it just needs to be highlighted. Mm-hmm. So the youth economy really originated from the vision of the Prime Minister, and he has the support of the fellow parliamentarians. In addition to that, as you know, we are a developing country, and we have a large youthful population. In terms of, as of 2019, I believe the youth percentage of St. Lucia's population was estimated at about 23%. Mm. So really the youth economy is there, to increase access to finance, and to really give young persons the opportunity to convert their entrepreneurial activities or hobbies into a meaningful business activity. So really it is really there to address the growing youthful population of St. Lucia, and to give them that kind of access to help address a lot of the social ills that we have, and to help generate sustainable employment in the long term.
One of the issues that St. Lucia, like many of Caribbean countries, many developing countries grapple with, is youth unemployment. How does the Youth Economy Agency address that?
Right, so the youth economy, because we focus on the youth, and I want to make it abundantly clear that we are referring to persons between the ages of 15 to 35. Mm-hmm. And what we want to do is to help these young business owners. So if you have a hobby, and you want to really transfer this hobby into a business. The idea is that, by opening businesses, you'll be able to, first of all, generate employment for yourself. Right. And then when your business expands, you'll be able to also employ other persons. Mm-hmm. So that is the whole idea in terms of the rationale for the youth economy.
Why the focus specifically on youth? We have a number of other agencies that cater to the Ministry of Commerce through the SBDC, the SLDB, a number of other agencies that cater to economic growth and small businesses on the whole. Why the focus on youth?
Right. So again, very important question. Why the youth? So the youth is really seen, as the game changers of society. Mm-hmm. The Caribbean Development Bank would have identified the youth as, the innovators, the risk takers of society. And again, because we have high rates of unemployment among the youth, and we know that the youth are very creative, they have ideas, this is the time for the youth. So, coupled with the concerns about rising crime rate, the other challenge we have in terms of access to finance, if you were to speak to a lot of the established business men, the self-employed persons, they will tell you that one of the challenges that they have is in terms of access to finance. Now, you would imagine that established business persons have challenges in terms of access to finance. So just imagine for young persons who really do not have the kind of capital as yet. So that is why the youth economy is really there, to give them this kind of access to finance, to help them convert their ideas into, a viable business, with the intention, that we will move them along the spectrum from micro, small, medium to large. So then they will no longer need the youth economy per se, and go on to the other agencies in society that provide additional financing.
Over the last 9 months, it's launching in March of 2023, but officially opening the doors 3rd of April on Chose Road. Talk to me about some of the milestones, some of the highlights that he has achieved in that time.
All right. So again, in terms of the year, it's a very exciting agency. And why do I say so? Because generally, an agency of this magnitude will take a long time, to be established and to be operating. Again, if you were to check the experiences of other regional institutions, if you were to track the history in terms of conception, planning, and implementation, it would have probably taken about a decade. But so for a year to just exist in such a short space of time, it is revolutionary. So far to date, we have received about 1,614 applications thereabout, and then this is as of December 31st.
And that's in basically around 9 months.
Right. And then the important thing is that this figure changes constantly because we keep on getting, applications.
So clearly the interest is there. The people, the need is being filled.
Yes, the interest is definitely there. So far to date, we have granted over 400 grants. In addition to that, we have disbursed over $1.3 million in grant funds. And in terms of training, we have trained over 400 young persons in areas such as investments, digital marketing, and business planning, which are critical, for your business to survive in these modern times.
You talk about grants. Explain to the audience what a grant entails, how one goes about, accessing and getting a grant.
Right. So the important thing about a grant is that you do not have to pay it. You do not have to pay back the grant like a loan. But what must be clearly stated is that it's not a case whereby we are just giving monies to persons for a grant.
Right.
The whole idea of the grant is that we are giving you this money to invest in your business. So you may have an idea and you just need this initial start. That is the purpose of the grant. Now, in terms of accessing the grant, there is actually a process involved. So you'll have to apply via our website, which is youtheconomy.lc. You will be interviewed, and then based on that, then we'll consider you for the grant. And it's not just about giving you the grant again, you'll get the necessary training, as I mentioned earlier, the different training, and you also get a lot of support in terms of conducting site visits. We are here if you have any challenges, we could give you some further guidance.
And I think it has to be noted that a lot of that work, especially in the early part of the life of the agency, was conducted with a pretty lean staff. Of course, that changed with the provision of the loan grant facility from the Caribbean Development Bank, which included bringing on a CEO,
Right.
as well as a number of other staff. Talk to me about how that transforms the agency, the fact that you now have a fuller staff, you have a number of functions coming into play. And of course, later on, we'll talk more about how some of those oncoming functions will affect the work of the agency going forward. But how have the new positions and the new staff affected the agency's ability to provide for those that is meant to help?
All right, so thank you again. So again, as you rightfully mentioned, when the agency started, we really had skeleton staff. Now again, because of the increased demand, we have had to, also increase the number of persons employed. Right. Just to ensure, that we are efficient and effective in terms of really granting access to finance for our stakeholders. So again, because we are an agency and one of our major stakeholders is the Caribbean Development Bank, we will be onboarding certain specialists, to ensure, that our processes are consistent, with international best practices. So for instance, a finance specialist, to ensure that, in terms of the grants process and the loans process, that it's up to date. To provide social, psychosocial services and social protection services, environmental services, just to ensure, that we are in compliance with international best practices and to ensure that the loans and grants are disbursed in an efficient manner.
In fact, one of the aspects of VA that is probably not talked about enough, and of course it wasn't something that was there from inception, procurement. coming on stream, and the fact that the YEA is able to enable, under the Youth Economy Act of 2022, that YEA is able to provide concessions or access concessions for those young business owners. How important is that for a young business owner being able to get stuff on island without having to go through the hassle of shipping and clearance and so on and so on?
Right, so it is critical. So as you know, for instance, you may purchase an item online for about 100 US, and then the value of this item in St. Lucia is probably sometimes $1,000. So again, although we are saying that, you know, the grants is, we provide grants to a maximum of 5,000, we are actually selling ourselves short, because essentially when this equipment comes down to St. Lucia, whatever it is actually, in terms of the value, it's actually more than $5,000. So, I mean, if we have to watch it from that point of view, it is much more than the 1.3 million I would have referenced earlier.
And I'm always fascinated. I don't know if you've taken a recce of some of the equipment in yours, but I'm always fascinated at what is being ordered, because you get things for nails, you get saddles for horses, you get leg press machines.
Right.
You know, literally anything that you can imagine that can support computers, anything that can support a business of any kind will be there. The Youth Economy Agency has supported. Is there any limit to what kind of business? That's a question that we often get. What kinds of business does the Youth Economy support? Where do I have to be from for the Youth Economy Agency to support me?
Well, in terms of we cover various businesses, and again, because we are dealing with youth, I would have indicated earlier, you know, that the youth are the innovators, you know, the trendsetters, you know, they think, you know, far ahead.
Not copycats.
Right. So, you know, they think far ahead. So we cover a range of businesses, you know, that the youth will be interested in. For instance, agriculture, information technology, you know, marketing. So it's really, we cover a large range of businesses. One thing I will say is that unfortunately we do not finance the purchase of vehicles or for or construction services. So this is outside of our scope areas.
But aside from that, is there any limit as to what I might, so for instance, raw materials, equipment, is there any limit as to what assuming I were 35 and under, but is there any limit as to what I might be able to come to you and say, listen, I need this for my business?
Well, yeah, so what we do is that we watch a case-by-case basis. So the determination has to be, you know, that whatever you are purchasing or whatever you're interested in, it has to be in line with your business expectation, your core business function. So for instance, you cannot come and say that you are a farmer and then you want to purchase a washing machine for clothes or to, you know, or to process some produce. So it has to be consistent with what exactly you are looking for. Because there is a process in place that, you know, you go through the interview, will do an assessment to ensure, you know, that whatever you are asking for is going to lead to some kind of, you know, measurable objective for your business. So it's not just about just giving persons money, but really assessing how it's going to impact your business.
How do I go about, again, assuming I'm under 35, how do I go about accessing the services of the Youth Economy Agency?
Right, so you'd have to go to the website, which is youtheconomy.lc.
Right.
When you go to the website, then you will be prompted in terms of whether you want to apply for a grant or whether you want to apply for a loan. Then once you apply online, then you will be contacted by one of our officers, and then you would arrange the interview, and we'll take you through the process.
Okay, and you spoke about earlier the CDB, of course, the CDB extending a significant grant loan for YEA to be able to increase its scope. Who are some of the other partners, who are some of the other major stakeholders that have been involved in YEA over the first year or so?
Right, so again, the CDB, the Caribbean Development Bank, has been critical. It's one of our major stakeholders. And again, they would have conducted the research and really realized that there is the importance of this initiative. In fact, the CDB would have described the YEA as, you know, transformational and revolutionary. So it just goes to show how important YEA is. And it's also, the CDB also considered that YEA it's consistent with its objectives. In terms of the other stakeholders, we have the Republic of China and Taiwan. They have been very instrumental in terms of providing us with assistance, you know, for a lot of our training programs. So kudos to them again, and I just want to say thank you and look forward to working with them. Of course, we have other stakeholders like the Bank of St. Lucia, who have been also assisting us with our training and, offer services or assistance in other areas too. And as we are on the topic of stakeholders, in this coming year, we'll be reaching out to all other stakeholders. So all persons who are interested in, working with the youth, we will be reaching out to you, and you could also reach out to us at the Youth Economy.
All right, well, that's a good place to segue, because we do want to talk about what's in the pipeline for ye in the year ahead. We'll talk about that right after the break. You're watching Issues and Answers.
Suicidal thoughts, like other mental health challenges, can affect anyone. It can be you, your colleague, family member, or neighbor. Everyone has a role to play in preventing suicide. Know the warning signs. If you or someone you know is in crisis or emotional distress, call the suicide hotline at 203. Remember, help is available. This is a message from the Employee Assistance Program, Department of the Public Service. Contact us at 468-2269 or 468-2260.
This is Issues and Answers, and of course we're talking about the Youth Economy Agency with Brian Vidal, the CEO. Brian, into a new year, not necessarily a new year for ye, because we're still some 3 years or so shy of celebrating the first 12 months in existence.
Right.
But a new calendar year, always a new time for hope, new vision, new the kind of resolutions. What's in the pipeline for you? What are some of the big things that you hope to achieve right off the bat?
All right, so again, it's very exciting times for the youth economy. So one of the things we look forward to doing is that in terms of how do we move forward. So of course, we want to have a very aggressive, outreach program. Mm-hmm. Why do we say so? So as I mentioned earlier, we have received about over 1,600 applications. Right. Now, when we receive applications, some of the things we would verify is in terms of where are these applications coming from, geographic reach. Who are the applicants? Are they male or are they female? So based on that, we would say, okay, let's say there is a shortfall in one community. Mm. So we would target this community to say, okay, why is the shortfall? So essentially what we will be doing is to have this kind of aggressive campaign so that everybody knows, about the youth economy. So that the idea is that the persons who need the youth economy know that it is there and they can access it. Also, in line with that, when we conduct interviews and when we interact with our participants, we would get an understanding in terms of the needs, the skill gap. Right. So that would really influence our training programs. So again, we'll be focusing a lot on training in this calendar year, and a lot of stakeholder engagement, reaching out and partnering with different agencies that really have this focus and that interest in youth development and, really assisting the process of increasing access to finance for youth.
What are some of the things that are on the horizon in terms of training specifically? Obviously, last year we did business planning, we did digital marketing, we did investment. Are those things going to be revisited? What are some of the other items that may be on the agenda?
So definitely we'll do the bookkeeping training. Again, that is a critical area for persons who are self-employed. Investment training, customer service. So we have a range of training that we are looking, to commence in short order in 2024.
How do those impact the young entrepreneur in terms of really, because we know that one of the things that people often talk about with small business is the fact that there's a high failure rate. How does the Youth Economy Agency, with its training, with its inputs, its initiatives, kind of cushion that possibility?
Right. So again, with self-employed persons, with businesses in general, the reality is that some businesses will fail, some will succeed. So we are not here to paint, some kind of rosy picture or some idyllic image of what is the reality on the ground. But for our part, what we are doing is that we appreciate that some businesses will succeed. So what do? We approach it in a holistic manner. Why do I say so? So in terms of, first of all, in terms of the interview, we would assess, the borrower or the participant. Mm-hmm. We would provide you training So for instance, would have provided you training for, let's say, business planning. So certain of the areas covered would be like, for instance, doing your cash flow statement, doing your marketing plan. All of those things are critical for businesses. Now, if you were to source these services in the market, I mean, these would land you in a couple of thousands of dollars. So just imagine you are a young person, starting your business, and then you approach a financial institution,
right,
and then they're asking you for a business plan. You would have to, put out a couple of thousands of dollars. But here we are actually assisting you to develop your business plan. And you're actively involved in the process. So you know what are the different, requirements and what you need to do. To the point where you were able to present on your business plan, when we had a pitching session. So we give you that kind of value. And in addition to that, when you are a recipient of whether it's a grant or a loan, we conduct, site visits. And we maintain this kind of relationships because when you're dealing with financial services, the history or the research shows that when you maintain that kind of, relationship with the participants, they are more inclined, to service their loan in a timely manner.
Right.
And the business is more likely to succeed because, you have that kind of, collaboration as opposed to, you're just given access to finance and you're just left on your own. So it's a continuous relationship whereby, we work together. We hold your hands and we work together.
A number of applications, as you mentioned, have been incoming, continue to come in. I monitor the inbox or so. I see them coming in literally daily. And of course, we encourage people to continue to send in your applications to take advantage of the initiatives being put on by the Youth Economy Agency. But Brian, there is a bit of a backlog. How is he going about addressing that? To increase staff, increase attention. Talk to me about give some assurance to the young people who have been waiting a little while in some cases and who are looking forward to getting attention for their businesses.
Yes. So yes, there is a backlog, and reason being because when we started, the demand was really overwhelming, and then we also had skeleton staff. So some of the things we have done right now is that we have increased our staff complements. So that will lead to increased turnaround. Also, we have reviewed some of the processes to make it more efficient, and again, so that will increase the turnaround too. So these are some of the initiatives, that we have implemented, and we have started. In fact, I believe we have called all of the young persons involved in the process, so they are aware as to what exactly is going on. But moving forward, you will experience a quicker turnaround in terms of the processing of grants and both loans.
Now, the Prime Minister did say at the CDB grant signing, as loan and grant signing, that in the space of 2 years he was looking forward to seeing 3,000 grants. So yes, the pace does need to pick up quite a bit. But in addition to that, there also, I think, well over 500 applications for loans. He has not begun to disburse loans. A lot of people, of course, asking where that process is. Can you give any update as to just what has been taking place behind the scenes in terms of preparing to help people who have sought loans, and what that will look like at the end of the day? Right.
So as it relates to loans, you see, one of the things we have to ensure is that the process is consistent for all of our stakeholders involved. So we have a disbursement agency, so we have to ensure that whatever we are doing, they are satisfied with it. So in terms of that stage, we have secured all of the funding necessary for the loan. So now it's just about, implementation and executing those loans. So anytime from now, we should be in a position to start disbursing loans.
So certainly by the first anniversary, there will have been...
Definitely. By the first anniversary loans, we will be in a position to disburse loans.
What will a loan look like for a Youth Economy Agency recipient? We know that the grant is up to $5,000 and there's obviously no repayment of the grant. What does a loan look like for a Youth Economy Agency?
So for the loan, we're watching a maximum of $30,000 and then an interest rate of 3%, which is really a preferred interest rate. I mean, again, if you were to interact with a lot of the other financial institutions in St. Lucia, when you are self-employed or you are into the MSME segment, you are generally considered to be high risk. So generally, when you're considered to be high risk, the higher the risk, the higher the interest rate. unless you have some kind of, arrangement or, a long-standing relationship with the bank or financial institution. So right now, the very fact that we are granting loans at 3% and over a 6-year term, I mean, that is also an advantage, and it represents a really cost savings for the recipients.
And we're looking forward to seeing that being an additional sort of kick up for some of those businesses, and the ability to further expand and do a lot more work. Downstream, you also have the close out the year with the investment forum, investment training for a number of young people provided by Bank of St. Lucia, and then the investment forum, which involve a number of experts coming in from around the Caribbean, several of them St. Lucian experts in various spheres,
Right.
agriculture, technology, tourism, etc., talking about what are some of the key opportunities and how those young people can go about securing outside investment. Why is outside investment another important aspect outside of just the core things that DA does, grants, loans, concessions, training, and so on?
All right. So again, when it comes to access to finance, it's always good to have different areas for you to be able to access finance. So the idea with the investment forum is to really give, show the young business entrepreneurs that, look, there are other options
Right.
to access finance as opposed to the traditional, let's say, loans and all of this. So it's really to give them an opportunity to, to market, themselves in terms of how to deal or, with an investor, a potential investor. And the other thing too, just imagine if you have an investor, let's say, from outside of St. Lucia, the OECS, or even, let's say, from the United States. This gives you a lot of opportunities in terms of marketing your product to a new market. So, from all of that angle and in terms of the networking too, it is the investment firm is very critical.
What most excites you about the year ahead?
Well, in terms of the, of just, I look forward to really working, with the youth and, to see a business move from being at the micro stage and, going to become a large and medium enterprise, and, you could employ, additional persons. So that is, where my passion is, to really have this kind of success stories, to see the joy in the young person's eyes, like when they had this idea about a product, about a business, and then, to bring it to life, and then for it to be successful, and then for them to be gainfully employed and, contribute in a meaningful way to society. Your
background, of course, banking. You've worked most recently with the Eastern Caribbean Partial Guarantee Corporation, the very unwieldily named ECPCGC. But what do you bring to the table, and what do you think is your greatest attribute that you bring to ye?
All right. So in terms of my experience, well, I'm very passionate about youth development, and I spent probably over a decade in micro, small, and medium enterprise sector.
Right.
Well, giving advice to businesses in terms of how to access finance, how to manage their finances. So in terms of that, I believe I play a critical role in just guiding the overall process, and really ensuring that that the youth know that we are here to serve, and we are here to as a partner, to help you along the way.
As we get ready to close out, Brian, we of course talk about the visits to our offices on Chose Road, people visiting the website, people visiting the various social media, substantial growth in the social media. We're on IG, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, so folks can go and find St. Lucia Ye on all of those platforms and continue to help us grow those platforms as well. But from your perspective, what would you say to young person X who's out there watching right now, or their mother or grandmother who's watching right now, to encourage them to come down and take advantage, or hop onto the website and take advantage of the services that Ye offers? All
right. So what I want to say to young persons right now, and I mean, if you are watching or if you are listening, is that, we are here to serve you, and we are eagerly awaiting to serve you. So, so come visit us, let's have a discussion. If you are passionate about your converting your hobbies or your ideas into a business, into a viable business, come and reach out to us. We will be in the different communities, going forward, but you are free to come out to us. We look forward to meeting you and working with you.
All right. Thanks so much, Brian. Any final words?
Well, for me, again, just thank you for the opportunity to speak about Ye. And I just want to, to let the people of St. Lucia know that, it's needed and it's a critical agency. Gone are the days when we could just, turn a blind eye to what is happening in our society. We know the challenges that are being faced by the youth, and I just want to encourage, my fellow St. Lucians, that if you know young persons who are interested in establishing their business, those who have successfully, been recipients or grants, to spread the word around and, encourage your fellow St. Lucians, to access this wonderful product and services that's being offered by the youth economy.
All right, thank you so much. And this has been Issues and Answers, talking about the Youth Economy Agency. Like Brian said, come on down to the offices, visit our website, visit our social media, find out more about the services, the initiatives that are being offered by the agency, and please take full advantage. Thanks for watching.